I'm Anita from Keyword. So you're probably watching this demo video today with me because my diary was booked up with calls. So I thought I'd create this video to give you a sense of how I would explain it to you if you were actually sitting on a call together. This way, we can watch the video and then you can send me a bunch of questions, or we could set up another call where we can really get into the details of AI visibility. All right. So before I show you how it works, let me give you a bit of context on why we built AI visibility and what it's meant to solve. We've actually been working on this for quite a while, probably before it hit most SEO radars, because we saw this shift coming last year already, especially through our US customers. Google started testing AI overviews in the US first, and almost overnight, the SEO game began to change. We started hearing the same thing over and over again from all our customers. Hey, I look great on Google, but now my customers are asking me why they're not showing up in ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity. What do I do? How can I see it? The problem is there was no way to track that. No CTR data, no real visibility into what users were seeing in AI-generated results, just a big black hole. So that's how AI visibility came to be. To help you, as an SEO professional, answer the one big question. Is my brand or my customer's brand being recommended by AI search engines? Then, well, how often is it being mentioned? What is the tone? Are we being cited as a trusted source? Who are our competitors in this space? It's still early days, and AI is evolving fast, but we've built a framework that already gives you real trackable results. And the more you use it, the more you'll see which of those metrics matter most to your customers. Just like you have different KPIs for organic SEO, you'll start developing the same instincts for AI visibility. All right, let's start with a quick tour of the app so you know where everything lives. On the left-hand side, you'll see two main tabs in the sidebar. Google. This is where you'll track your brand's position in the Google search based on exact keywords. If you're already familiar with keyword.com, this is our bread and butter, with daily, weekly, or on-demand rank tracking, with super accurate and easy to filter URLs device or on location. Then you have AI visibility. This is the new module. This is where you'll track how your brand appears inside AI-generated answers across engines like ChatGPT, Gemini, Google AI overviews, and more. So instead of tracking by keyword, you're tracking by search intent, which I'll explain a bit more later on. When you sign up for AI visibility, we actually give you 5 free Google keywords with weekly updates. This is just a nice bonus, and here's why. It gives you access to our keyword intelligence tool, which you can use to spot trends through Google organic searches, of course, to discover high volume topics and identify keyword gaps in your niche. This is especially useful if you want to research ideas for the prompts you want to enter in AI visibility. And of course, it's a great way to try our core rank tracker. It's super accurate, packed with features, and you'll love it. Well, most people do. You can always add more keywords to match your needs. All right, now let's jump into AI visibility tab so you can see how that works. Once you're inside AI visibility, the first thing you're going to want to do is add a domain. This is usually your own domain or your client's domain, whatever you're tracking. We use this as the anchor point to see how often your brand is mentioned or cited. You can track multiple domains in one account, and each domain has its own dedicated set of topics, terms, and results. If you're an existing keyword.com user, these are similar to your Google search projects. So adding a domain is pretty straightforward. You just click on the left sidebar at the bottom and add your domain. Simple. Once you've added your brand, head over to the settings icon over here at the top. In here, you can enter more information, for example, additional brand names. This is useful if your brand is sometimes typed or mentioned differently. More normally, if you have an abbreviation, for example, the CNN news network, that could be Central News Agency, or you could have UN instead of United Nations. So it's just ways that we can detect in the AI responses to make sure that we're picking up your brand correctly. You can also add product names, right? All your different products that you're selling, that's all your services. You can also add a description. You can add a default country as well as a default language. And this is all useful because we use this information when suggesting terms for you to track. Topics. Topics are optional, but extremely useful. Think of them like keyword clusters. For example, if you're tracking Miro, an online collaborative whiteboard platform, you might have topics like whiteboarding and collaboration, diagramming or mapping, or product or UX design. When you create a topic, you'll enter the name, the description. This is important. The topic description helps us understand what the topic is about and is used later on when we suggest terms for you to help you get started. Once you've created the topic, you can select already existing terms and you can link them up to the topic from here. Now, the most important part, adding your search terms. These are not the same as Google keywords. Think of these as prompts as you might type into AI engines. For example, what are the best online whiteboards? Or what are tools for remote team collaboration? Or what tools help remote teams run effective workshops? You can add them manually by clicking on the Add Term button, where you'll select the topic which you've created before, and then the individual search term. You'll then select which of the AI engines you want to track. When you select the AI engines, you'll notice on the right-hand side, you'll see the engines being listed and indicating if web search is enabled or not. If you want, you can switch to expert mode here, where you can set the temperature of each result. So what is temperature? The temperature controls how creative or predictable the AI is when answering your search term. Lower temperature, for example, 0.1 or 0.3, equals more predictable. This means the AI engine will give you a safer, more consistent answer. This is best for tracking specific brand names or phrases, for example, Miro whiteboard collaboration tool. A higher temperature, for example, 0.7 to 1.0, means more creative results. So the AI engine explores a wider range of ideas and phrasing. This is best for tracking broad topics or general themes, for example, tools for online teamwork. Below that, you can set the region you want to track. And then at the top, you can select the intervals, hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. To help you manage your credit balance, you can use the Claude run limit. Setting this limit helps you limit how many times the search term is automatically updated. For example, if I enter the number 5 here, the search term will be activated after 5 automatic runs. If you set it to nothing, it will run automatically forever. And this just gives you another element of customization that you can use to how you want to manage your tracking of your different domains. Once you've completed everything, you'll just click on Save. If the search term is set to active, it will trigger a run as soon as you add the search term. You can also add the search terms in bulk by clicking here. You can add lists of keywords here, choose your topic, add your regions, which AI engines you want to run. At the bottom, we'll give you an estimate of how many credits will be used per day based on what you've selected. Another way you can add search terms is by using the Find Search Term feature. Using AI, we will use the domain name, the topic, and the topic description to generate a list of suggested prompts. From the list of suggested terms, you can select which AI engines you want to track and the frequency. Anything you add here will run automatically upon submission. You can add as many keywords or search terms as you want. There is no limit to how many you add. You are not charged for the number of terms or prompts that you add inside AI visibility. You are only charged when the run is done to update the term. Now, that being said, let's just quickly talk about credits. Since that's how billing works inside AI visibility, and I know this part can feel a bit daunting at first. Unlike our Google SERP tracking module, where you are paying per unique keyword with a set of update frequencies, with AI visibility, every time you run an update on a search term, it uses a certain number of credits depending on which AI engine you're tracking on, whether web search is included, and how often you're updating that term. Here's a quick example. Tracking a term on Gemini uses 1 credit. ChatGPT on its own uses 1 credit, but with web search enabled, it can take up to 4 credits. Some engines like Google AI Overviews or Perplexity are usually 1 or 2 credits. Now, inside the app, we'll always show you exactly how many credits each engine costs. So there are no surprises via the runway number. So what does this runway actually mean? That just tells us, based on your current setup and update frequency, how long your current credits will last. So if you've got 500 credits and your setup is using 20 credits per day, your runway would be 25 days. It's just another helpful way to help you plan ahead and to avoid hitting zero unexpectedly. Because this is a bit different, we've looked at how other of our power users are doing it. And we've seen some really clever ways that agencies are managing their credit usage, especially when working across multiple clients or projects. We've seen monthly updates instead of weekly. So if your campaigns don't shift dramatically week to week, updating monthly instead of weekly can really stretch your credits. You could focus on fewer AI engines. So instead of tracking every term across every engine, most users are picking 1, 2, or 3 that matter the most to the audience of their project. For example, ChatGPT or just Google AI Overviews, or maybe a combination of the two. We've also seen people use inactive mode plus manual updates. So they keep their terms inactive and only run updates before key client meetings. That way you get fresh data exactly when you need it without burning credits automatically. As for reporting, live demos and screenshots. So since PDF reporting is still in development, many users run updates live during client calls, or they're taking screenshots to walk their customers through the insights with some commentary. This flexibility is intentional. We didn't want to force everyone into a fixed daily burn rate, and instead you're in control. You set the update schedules, choose the engines, turn terms on and off, all depending on how you report, how often you meet your clients, and what's most valuable to you. I've also included a link under this video to a simple credit calculator to help you estimate how much you'd be using based on your setup. A common question we get asked is, do I need to add lots of variations of the same prompt to get accurate tracking? So let me take a bit of time to explain the difference between tracking a Google SERP keyword and an AI visibility search term. In traditional SEO, you would track different variations of keywords like best online whiteboard tool and best whiteboard collaboration tool. AI engines do not work on exact keyword matches like Google. Instead, they rely on semantic meaning. This refers to the underlying intent or idea behind the phrase, not just the exact words. For example, best whiteboard service and which whiteboard platform is the best use different words but have the same semantic meaning. They are asking the same question. AI engines focus on this meaning to understand and respond accurately when they are phrasing changes. So when you enter a search term into our AI visibility tool, we send it exactly as written to the selected AI engine. Behind the scenes, the AI engines convert that prompt into a semantic vector, a mathematical representation of the meaning. That means slight differences in phrases usually still remain with similar answers. So instead of needing to track 200 keywords like you would in Google search tracking, you may only need 10 or 20 well-chosen prompts to see how your brand performs across hundreds of similar intents. Semantic grouping or topics help you save on credits and deliver broader insights. Now let's talk a bit about the information you'll see once you've actually completed a run for your search term, right? It'll look like this. In the search term tab, you'll see a list of all your search terms. If you added one search term with 4 AI engines, there will be 4 of them of the same search term listed below, right? To help organize these lists, you can choose on how you want to group your views. You can group by topic, AI engine, search terms, visibility, etc. On a very high level, you can see how many runs have been performed, the latest visibility score, the latest position, the AI engine, right, over here, the refresh cycle, and the last execution date. If I click on this row, right, I get a quick glance at the metrics. So I have visibility, which is calculated using your detection rate and an average position. So the higher score equals more frequent and prominent brand visibility. The latest position of how your domain was mentioned inside the results, The sentiment score, which tells how the tone of your domain is described in both the training data and live web grounding data, which I'll cover later. The number of times your domain was mentioned in the answer, the number of citations that were listed in the results, if you were in the top 3 positions inside that answer, and how many times you were detected in each run. If I click on view results, I can get even more detailed view on the search term performance and execution history. Once you're in the detailed view, you'll see a summary of these settings of your search term. So the topic, the region, the interval, that it was updated, and the AI engine and more. Below that, you'll see the same summary metrics as I mentioned before, which is your visibility, position, etc. Below that, you'll be able to see the latest rank history, which will show you the performance of that term and your brand over time. And you can metrics by average rank, you can look at it by sentiment, and you can look at it by visibility. And you'll be able to see how you performed over time and who your competitors were. Lower down, you can see the different brands that were mentioned in the AI results over the last 30 days. Here you can easily see who your competition are for that search term with their relevant metrics. And you can sort these metrics as you need, right? You can just click on the buttons here. You'll also see citations and reference analysis. This shows you which URLs are being cited in the results and which brand is being cited for each URL. Below that, you'll see a list of the execution history since you added that term. The one feature we've included is Spyglass. For those of you who are keyword.com users, you will know that Spyglass is our tracking verification feature that shows you what the actual results were at the time of data collection. In other words, you will get to actually see the result that came back from the AI engine based on your search term. So in there, you can see the text that was presented with the different mentioned domains being highlighted. We also show you a list of each brand and what their sentiment was in each answer. Plus, we'll show you all the listed citations, so all the URLs that actually contributed to this answer. Now that I've covered the search terms and how to add them, how to find new search terms and all the different metrics, we'll cover all the different dimensions that you can view this data to help you make more informed decisions on your AI visibility strategy. Let's start with the overview page. This gives you a high-level view of how you can understand how your brand is performing and its trends across all the different search terms. You'll be able to spot drops or gains across engines, and you'll be able to show progress to your customers. So there's a few things you can do here. At the top of all these dimensions, you'll see these filters. You can filter the charts by AI engine or by topic, and you can also set the aggregation of the data you want to see and the time frame. As you change these filters, the metrics will change on the page. And from there, you can see your high-level metrics, which is your visibility, average sentiment, average position, the number of times you were mentioned of the citations, the detection rate, and also how often you appeared in the top 3 visibility score. Below that, there's a chart reflecting your brand and how your competitors are performing over time. You can choose to see the historic performance by either visibility, average position, average sentiment score, detection rate, or the top 3 visibility. We also give you a view of the top performance, which again, you'll be able to change your metric to either visibility, average position, and detection to the top 3. So this is your average topic performance. And on the other side, you'll be able to see your AI engine performance. So either by visibility, average position, and sentiment. Bearing in mind that obviously it depends on what filters you've put here on the top. The next dimension is competitors. And just like the overview page, you can filter these results by AI engine and topic. And you can also set the time frame and aggregation of the data. On this page, we'll show you all the competitors based on your filters that are listed inside the AI results for the relevant search terms. You'll be able to see the average position, the detection rate, how they have performed in the top 3 results, the sentiment, mentions, citations, and overall visibility with a comparison to your brand, which is listed on the top. You can sort your competitors by visibility, brand, average rank, and detection rate in top 3 and mentions. From here, You can even export all the results you wanted to get deeper analysis yourself. You can export to CSV or you can export directly into Google Sheets. The next dimension is citations. Now, this we believe is one of the most valuable dimensions. The citations page shows you how your brand is being referenced across AI-generated search results. This goes beyond mentions. It reveals the actual domain, URLs, and sources that contribute to your visibility and where you were cited in AI content. It's a powerful tool for understanding the sources and the influence your presence is in AI engines. So based on your top level filters, you can see the total citations for the number of unique URLs, the number of unique domains, the brands that were found, and the most appearances in the AI search results. You can also choose the metrics of showing your domain over here, or you can show without your domain. So you can really get a good comparative of what your competitors are doing. If I click without your brand, I'm looking at my competitors and what all of the citations pointing to my competitor site. So again, I can identify who's actually citing my competitor's website inside the AI answers. And that'll allow me to go back and see how my domain can be mentioned in those articles. Just helps you guide and build up your AI strategy to make sure that you are more visible. These metrics will show you how the citations contribute to your results. And you can see a few things: the top 20 citations by domain, the monthly mentions by top domain, citation category distribution and the distribution over time, citation brand and mentions, the unique URLs and unique domains, brand distribution by mentions, and brand distribution by unique URLs. We then show you the list of top domains where you can drill down to see these pages that contributed to your brand. Then you can also see the top URLs of which your brands were cited. Then lastly, we'll show you the top brands by mentions. And you can see here in this example, Lucid chart has got the most mentions in all of those answers. Last but not least is sentiment. Sentiment breaks down how AI feels about your brand. What is sentiment? Sentiment reflects the emotional tone or attitude used when your brand is mentioned in the AI-generated results. Sentiment is classified into 3 categories. Positive is the language that suggests trust, quality, or endorsement. Neutral, which is descriptive or factual mentions with no strong opinion. And negative, which is language that implies doubt, risk, or criticism. Sentiment is not a fixed formula. It's powered by an AI rule set that looks up how your brand is described both across web grounding, real-time data and content, and training data, which is trained knowledge of the AI engine. This metric helps you understand how positively or negatively your brand is being perceived by the AI models. You'll be able to compare your brand's tone versus your competitors, where you can identify problematic keywords, for example, product delays, terrible UI, or difficult to use, linked to your brand, and you'll be able to spot reputational risk or early wins, especially in the emerging AI content. So what you'll see is basically an overall sentiment score, which is basically the proportion of positive sentiment from all the mentions. You'll see a breakdown of the positive and neutral keywords by count. When analyzing data, we can identify the results that are coming in from web grounding or from trained data. Web grounding means it's basically coming from live web results, and training data is coming from data that the LLM has actually trained itself on in the past. What's very interesting about this is if you look at the chart over here, you can actually see where the strengths are per domain. For example, Miro, you can see the strength here lies in real-time collaboration. And if I put my mouse over it over here, you can see the number of positive keywords that are contributing to this overall score. Then I can switch to the neutral and see what's broken down here. And I can do the same with my negative keywords to see which ones I can have some opportunities on. Identifying gaps and reputational risks help you improve your brand sentiment, making it more trustworthy. You can see the same sentiment analysis for each of your competitors, so you can identify their strengths and weaknesses and possibly build your strategy around that. So if you're working with clients or managing SEO performance, AI visibility gives you brand reputational tracking, content opportunity discovery, and competitive benchmarking across engines that matter today. And remember, you don't need to track every variation. Let semantic search work in your favor. Start lean, test, and expand. Thank you for watching, and let us know if you have any follow-up questions. We'll be happy to answer them for you.